本節目內主持人及嘉賓的言論純屬個人意見，並不代表本台立場。
Welcome back to the third part of Boiling Points. It's an honor to have Eddie with us.
My pleasure too.
台長啊 very very nice and kind person to answer all our penetrative questions.
Why didn't you call me handsome?
All right. Recently we have this outrageous case of
a lot of these cases, like such as the hidden agenda thing, such as the United Hospital thing.
What was that about? I didn't know. I didn't hear about that.
It's like it's about the organ transplant. It's like we have these patients.
Those doctors, those two doctors at the hospital made some serious mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
And because of that, that woman have to be given a liver transplant.
Right.
And they try to cover that.
Cover it?
Yeah.
Try to cover up the mistake?
Yeah.
Right.
It seems that it's like they have forgotten to have a kind of prescription,
which prevented the virus getting into the liver.
But
because of that, the liver of the woman failed,
and
she have to be given a new liver from
for a living person.
A donor.
Was that her daughter?
A donor. There was a donor.
Right.
Yeah, and that donor was not his. It's not his relatives.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a blood relative. It's just some random
volunteer.
Volunteer. Yeah. And it's not working. And now the patient is still in a critical condition in hospital.
And you can just describe the whole situation as a mess up.
Okay, so it's just a big mess in the hospital, and it's kind of, does it reflect this idea that everything in Hong Kong is just going down?
You have to ask why everything in Hong Kong is going down, and I have to give a very precise answer to that. It is because our city is right now overloaded. Overloaded by too many people. And why are there so many people? It is just because we accept so many mainland immigrants from China, and 150 every day.
Yes.
And 10% of that, or 20% of that, is the quota of the Chinese Security Bureau.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's just
and nobody
the known figures.
Nobody until now, and even until now, people are very reluctant to state that very clearly. So again, I have to use a program to state it. Hong Kong is fucked up because of this immigration problem.
Yeah, I think China sees that sending, or the Chinese mainland immigration into Hong Kong as a way to tame Hong Kong, to control.
No, you
Hong
have
Kong.
to use a very precise phrasing of that. It is all about population transfer. They actually mentioned about that. There was a guy, Miles Kwok, who is right now in exile, and he just want to bring everything up but it seems that in Hong Kong nobody care about that. He actually used the word diluting Hong Kong population, and well, it is actually the same thing in Xinjiang and Tibet.
Yes.
Yeah, and nobody in Hong Kong actually wants to face the question.
Well, I think it's
I mean, if it's just us who bring out this issue,
and
it's
I'm
not
also
convincing.
very upset that nobody in the election actually bring out this point last year.
Really? Well, I wasn't here, but
well, if I were the one who won the election, I would stay on my election plan. Stop the immigration. Stop the 150 quotas.
I think some platforms did talk about that. I mean,
Yeah.
so
But it's not in the legislative
Well, you have to
council.
say it
Yeah,
on the TV debate.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, so they didn't say it on the TV debate. No one. Well, I know Claudia Mo has these sometimes has an anti-mainlandization motion in the LegCo.
Yeah.
I guess that's a start.
Yeah, and I'm also very sorry that she have to tell the reason why she is against mainlandization. If I were in a situation, I would say we are against mainlandization because we are Hong Kongers.
Yes.
Because this is a home.
We don't want to be part of the communist China.
Yeah. It does seem that it's like an ethnic cleansing.
Oh yeah.
It's a systematic way.
Yeah. Population transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forcing Hong Kong people to
Crowding out. Right now, they as Malcolm mentioned, they got a strategy. They have to push up the rent price and the land price at a very surreal level, when only that time the rich people of the mainland can buy all the real estate in Hong Kong. And if you are poor and if you are not able to rise up to these living standards, you will be thinking of immigration.
Yes.
Immigration. Or if not, then another option is that you go to China.
Yes.
Yeah. And the second option that right now they are floating is that they try to, integrate Hong Kong into the so-called
Big Bay thing.
Big Bay metropolitan.
Yeah, and the other thing, of course, with the high property prices is that even if you stay in Hong Kong, a couple are very reluctant or to have a child because they've just got they're living in a tiny place.
Yeah.
And they can't even have
And
a family.
they work their ass off. They don't have enough money to raise the kid.
The Hong Kong population isn't reproducing itself, so it's just
that's happening.
Yeah.
So it's just very clear what they're going to do about Hong Kong. And the only question that I'm asking is that why are they doing so quickly? I mean, if you spread this out in say 10 years or 20 years, nobody will have that kind of awareness. But right now they are trying to push too far. And there's still a chance that Hong Kong people can voice this out. Not just in Hong Kong, they can do it in the United States, they can do it in Australia, and you can do it everywhere else in the world. Because right now there is an anti-Chinese sentiments around the world beginning to happen. And if you're in Toronto or Vancouver, they are feeling kind of same kind of pressure like we do in Hong Kong, especially in your hometown, and Sydney and Melbourne. Right now, the young people cannot buy cannot afford to think about buying a real estate in the city center.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but of course, I think the pressure that Australia feels from Chinese purchase of real estate is just 1% of what it is in Hong Kong.
Yeah. And we can be so proud of ourselves because we can stand against this pressure for such a long time.
Yeah, how much longer?
No, not actually longer. I don't think we can.
People
can bear with this for, let's say, 2 or 3 years. Either people will try to get a way out, or moving to the mainland, or they just accept their fate. Yeah. So on the one hand, it's just a very, very sad situation. I may be able to witness the whole destruction of Hong Kong culture within my lifetime, or maybe not.
The golden era and the decline, yeah. The 70s and 80s,
Oh yeah, that was the golden years. Yeah. I can say that it was golden years, but we didn't appreciate that at the time. Yeah, we have some kind of reminiscence afterwards, and say, well, how things were so good at that time. Nostalgia. Yeah.
Years of nostalgia. It's like also we have got these rising kind of sexual frustrations among the youngsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that goes to the question of hidden agenda, and Ben and I were discussing whether there was actually a hidden agenda about the whole thing. I would say that there is a hidden agenda in the government.
Yeah, what is it? They just want to crack down on young people?
Everything local.
Everything local, right?
Yeah. And that was kind of systematic.
Yeah.
The stores
in the school, you have almost compulsory course of teaching
Mandarin.
children in Mandarin.
Yeah.
And that was trying to replace your native tongue.
Yes.
And for most of the parents, that was not significant because they always thought that it was no harm that the young children learn another language. But what they didn't know was, what they didn't appreciate was that when you have the Cantonese as a native tongue,
Yeah.
you think differently. You don't have that kind of so-called national identity. When you speak, when you feel, all right, we speak Mandarin, 普通话, I should say, and Cantonese at that time, and gradually Mandarin will replace Cantonese as the native tongue of Hong Kong young children. That's happening in
Guangzhou.
In Guangzhou. And they speak a different kind of Cantonese, unlike us.
Yeah.
So little do they know it's a gradual vanishing of our own
It is
language.
It is not vanishing. When you say vanishing, it is kind of natural. Right now, it is an artificial and systematic hidden agenda by an evil empire. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm using my words very strongly because if not, people will not be able to see how dangerous is the Hong Kong situation right now.
Yeah.
So everything is crumbling. I mean, with the mistakes made by the doctors in hospital.
The reason why they make the mistake is that there are so many patients in the hospital.
Yeah.
They cannot afford the time to think clearly.
Yeah.
Right now, if you go to the hospital, every one of them, it was like in wartime. And people, you see, the patients are along the corridor.
And you just cannot ask them questions.
And
it's
course,
like they're driving you away.
And all these patients are not Hong Kongers.
Most of them are not. In the case of
especially the private hospitals.
Yeah.
Because these mainlanders can afford a very
high priced.
And just going back to the hidden agenda thing, a few years ago, they also cracked down on the Guilin Street markets in Shamshui-Po.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote about,
Yeah.
I think. So what they're doing at Hidden Agenda, by cracking down on that, that's just kind of an extension of the kind of Shamshui-Po, Guilin Street market, night market at the Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
Crackdown.
They try to force people to get into these very big corporations to work as slaves.
Yeah. Just
like you can go to the McDonald's and do that kind of job for, let's say, 40 Hong Kong dollars per hour. Yeah. And right now you see this kind of polarization. Either you are very rich or you are very poor.
Yeah.
And there is no middle class.
Yeah, it's middle class.
And there's also this link thing, which when you
destroyed all the small enterprises.
Yeah.
When you want to earn a living by running a small store in a public estate, and since Link took over all everything, they're like, all right, if you wanna run a business, the next year you have to pay double the rent and things like that.
Yeah. Again, this is another kind of crowding out.
Yeah, crowding out. Economic.
Crowding
out. Economic colonization.
Yeah.
and no more hawkers, license.
So you see the whole situation is actually very clear right now. You can see how this Chinese government is trying to exert its complete control over Hong Kong. But one thing that I did not understand is that why we are so reluctant to face this very serious situation. We try to escape from that. We try to pretend that everything is okay.
I spoke to someone about this the other day, and they said, Hong Kong people are just numb about it. Like they're just kind of giving up. They just can't see any
hope.
Any hope, and
it's a helplessness.
And they don't want to think about it because it just depresses.
Yeah. And another crisis you see that is almost every day people suicide.
Yeah.
Growing numbers.
In the case of, in other countries, the government will make a big fuss over there, and the opposition party will try to ask questions in the parliament. But in Hong Kong, everybody is just so.
Yeah. Speaking of the suicide, there was there's a lot of concern about suicide in the police station in Kowloon Bay.
Well, so-called suicide.
So-called because basically people are very concerned that this guy was
A rapist.
The rapist,
Alleged
rapist, was killed, and then the police put a land cable around his neck and said that he suicided. And of course, that's the type of thing that you hear about happening in China all the time.
Yeah.
And so, do you think the Hong Kong police have regressed or have gone to this kind of gong-an-fa? They've turned into the Chinese police in this short period of time?
In a very broad sense, you can see that they are almost the same thing right now. But in this very specific case, I don't want to make a very quick judgment over that because we don't get the facts right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's still under investigation.
You have to do a lot of things about that for this specific case, such as DNA investigation, and also the testimony of that victim. Because I think it is very obvious that she recognized whether this guy was the rapist or not.
And the security
because
videotapes.
This took part in a few hours.
Right.
So I think it will be very obvious that she can recognize the man who did it. Okay. And there is also another factor. It is that the police will conduct an investigation into the whole suicide thing themselves. Right now I heard that they are they ask the officers over there to give their testimony.
Right.
Yeah. So you can say that the Hong Kong police is regressing, but still we gotta.
It's not that bad.
The public, no, I wouldn't say it is not that bad. Just looking back on that case, the 7 policemen beating up the reporter. Now, if you got a TV station showing you the footage, there is no way that they can avoiding the legal action.
They tried. I think
they tried, but ultimately they will have to go they still have to
2 years in jail.
To be sentenced. So I think in this case, because
so the netizens might be going overboard. For example, can you show pick 3, please, operator? There's a lot of things on Facebook of land cables.
I'm very sure that it couldn't be done.
You're right.
I can do it myself to see whether it can be done or not. But I was, when I was arrested, I was in that. Not exactly in that police station, but in Kwun Tong police station.
Similar cell, right?
Yeah, similar. I can say that it is just not possible to do that because you are being watched.
Yeah.
And there is no way that you can. If there is a cable here, then you can steal the cable, and that that police guy.
There's no stealth.
did not recognize you. Did not know your movement. I mean, when I was in that police station, and when you get to the toilet, I mean the laboratory, and there's a guy behind you, and they always put his hand on your back.
Really?
Yeah. They always follow you.
Like every move.
Every move. So it is just impossible. If you say that there is a guy did that suicide inside the cell, there is just one possibility, and that was the policeman that did not watch him. I mean, they were just doing something. They were doing something else,
right?
Like playing. Accessing their Facebook during the time. But that was against, I guess, against the
police regulations.
Yeah, the regulations.
Right.
So either way, you still have to say that it is I mean, there must be some mistakes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you are into the conspiracy, and you would say that they just grab a guy and try to
make him responsible, make a bad guy.
I'm thinking about the right facing. Okay.
Scapegoat.
Maybe he was the guy, but they tried to make him confess.
Right.
Maybe they are using very forceful way to make him confess.
Yeah.
And that get into some. I mean.
They went too far. Yeah.
Went wrong.
Went wrong.
Maybe that was the case. Maybe that is the case, but we don't know right now. And the reason why people speculate so much is that the whole thing was so absurd. And the first thing is that this case is already very, unusual in Hong Kong, because we used to think that this is a safe city, and that victim, he was not. She was not into the late night. It was only about midnight, 12 o'clock, and I also take that way some of the time. And even if you were alone, then I still feel secure.
There's still people around.
Case. Yeah, but right now, after this case, people began to think about, what would happen if I in the middle of, let's say, 2 a.m. or 3 p.m. in the, let's say, MIHK.tv or somewhere down the tunnel, maybe I will be mugged or raped, and we are not used to that.
Yeah.
So I think you better practice some kung fu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks for coming on the show. We have to leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay. See you guys next week. Bye.
Subscribe.
經錯過我哋精彩嘅節目，而家上嚟呢個網址就可以訂閱晒我哋8大頻道，付費之後仲可以重溫晒所有精彩嘅節目。記得要訂閱我哋嘅 YouTube channel 同埋讚好我哋嘅 Facebook 專頁啊！